Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now a three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. Ja Morant, insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast, Grizzlies Lose edition. My name is Keith Parish. The Grizzlies coming off a statement 41-point win over the Bucks, riding a 7-game win streak, visited the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that had lost 5 straight, a team that was playing without their best player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They were playing without their starting point guard, Josh Giddey. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. The Grizzlies knew on their schedule, coming up after this, they had road games against the Nuggets, the Suns, and the Warriors. Well, that, boys and girls, is the trap game. When you lay it out in retrospect, it just seems so obvious. And the Grizzlies lose to a shorthanded Thunder squad. Again, you had been cooking in your home games, had the longest win streak in the NBA. You're facing a shorthanded Thunder team on the second night of a back-to-back. And you get kind of blown out. And then, of course, the major storyline is Ja Morant gets ejected in the second quarter. But they were down 20 in the second quarter. A lot of the damage had already been done. Now, yes, it's a trap game. It's just one of those games. I think it's useful when we look back at, say, like the Miami win the Grizzlies had when Miami was full strength and the Grizzlies played all their backups. And a lot of people talk about culture, and this shows the character of the team for the Grizzlies being able to win these types of games. Well, guess what? All the Thunder podcasters are saying the same thing right now. It's just something that happens in the NBA. These are professional basketball players. When Isaiah Joe gets the chance to start and show off his shooting skill, he makes 5 3-pointers. The Thunder make 19 3-pointers. You find yourself getting upset when you're the favorite. And that is certainly the situation that happened to the Grizzlies. But let's start off talking a little bit about the ejection of Ja Morant. We'll get to the performances of the game and of the players and what actually happened a little bit later. The Ja Morant ejection, yes, you've obviously seen the clips, I'm assuming. Very, very odd. Ja Morant picked up his first technical foul for complaining about getting fouled, hit in the head, going up for an alley-oop. If you watch the play when he's going up for an alley-oop, in real time, it was very, very fast. It seemed like a foul to me, I thought. Obviously, I'm a biased Grizzlies fan. On replay, probably a foul. Ja's head, though, he hits his head on the backboard, which is, a fun problem to have, I guess. Probably Dort's body contact does impact Ja's jump. That's a foul. He hits his head on the backboard. He's understandably frustrated. He says, apparently, to the official Ray Acosta, that's a bleeping foul, which, honestly, I don't know if that warrants a technical foul. It seems like a thing players say. But he gets a technical foul for complaining that call. Then, very soon after it, Acosta tosses him for this exchange that he was, again, having with a fan. Apparently, the fan was someone from Oklahoma who is a Ja Morant fan, sitting courtside, was telling him, let's go. And Morant said that it's hard to because he can't get a call. There was another person who claimed that he said he'd like to get going, but he needs a bleeping whistle. That's the moment when Acosta gives him his second technical foul. Now, if we want to break this down, try to do it objectively. First of all, it is a bad look in basketball for the same official to call both technical fouls. That's not just like a fan perspective. That's an actual officiating perspective. They basically talk about this. If you call the technical foul, usually you want your partner, your referee partner, to be the one who hits him with the second one. So not the best thing for Acosta to call both technical fouls. Were both technical fouls warranted? I don't think we need to be naive and act like just because Ja was talking to a fan, he has free reign to say whatever you want. Like, you can't claim total innocence if you're an NBA player and you're talking about a referee loud enough for the ref to hear. Like, let's not be children. He isn't off the hook for what he says to a fan if the official can still hear it, if it's within earshot. Now, saying I need a bleeping whistle, or saying like I'm trying to get a call, I can't because I need the ref to give me a call. Based on what Ja's version of events are, based on what the fan has said the version of events were, it doesn't at all sound like the second technical foul is warranted based on that behavior. I'm not saying Ja should get off the hook just because he's talking to a fan. Clearly, if you're speaking loud enough for a ref to hear you, you are susceptible to getting a tech and deserving that technical foul, that being a warranted technical foul. So, yeah, it seems strange and it seems like a poor officiating job for the same referee to call both techs for what was purportedly said to lead to both technical fouls. That's on the soft end. It also looks terrible always when a player gets ejected and that player isn't heated. Like, Ja Morant was joking around and smiling. Ejecting a player, especially a star player who is smiling, is always going to look terrible. It's going to be a terrible look for the referees. It's a bad look for the league. In the Poole report post-game, they said the first technical foul was assessed for profanity directed at the official. Okay. They said the second technical foul was for making a comment questioning the integrity of the officials. That could be a lot of things. That could say, what, did you bet money on the game? You say that, you deserve a technical foul. That's, if you call into question the integrity of the official, that is typically going to be called a technical foul. What the fan said and what Ja said, he said, does not sound like he's calling the official's integrity into question. This kind of weak Poole report does, in fact, call into question the integrity of the officiating. Now, as fans, a lot of times people want like news of that referee got suspended, that referee, is getting fined or something. The NBA, whether it's good or bad, handles this stuff quietly. They don't fine their officials for making mistakes in the game, but it will cost them assignments down the line. So it's possible this could cost him an assignment because of it if the NBA determines the referee's actions were not acceptable, were not warranted. Another part of this is Ja Morant can't get ejected. Like, Ja Morant can't pick up soft technical fouls. If he gets a technical foul, he does need to have some form of being on his best behavior. You can't leave your team in a lurch like that if you're ejected. And also, it didn't cost the Grizzlies the game. They were down by 20 points. They were down by 20 points. Could they have rallied? Certainly, absolutely. They still could have rallied. They still made a good rally. They got within 5 at the very end. They got within single digits. It felt like a competitive game at the end. You can't be getting thrown out for silly stuff. Did the officials do a great job? It didn't appear so. From our perspective as fans, it does not seem so. But also, Ja's got to do a better job himself in these situations. He also could have played better when he was in there. Ja was 3 for 10 from the field. He had 6 points, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers. By the way, the last time he played the Thunder when Lou Dort was available, remember Lou Dort missed the last Grizzlies-Thunder matchup, Ja was 5 for 20 in that game. So Ja against the Thunder, when Lou Dort plays this season, he's 8 for 30 on his field goal attempts. Ja needed to play better. The rest of the team needed to play better. The Thunder had their largest halftime lead of this season on the Grizzlies. They were up by 21 at the half. And not putting it all on Ja, spelling out how the rest of the team really struggled as well. In the first quarter, when Ja Morant checked out, the Grizzlies then basically could not score. This is a thing we saw previously where the second unit was severely struggling. There was a first half stretch from when Ja Morant checked out in the first quarter to when he checked back in the second quarter where the Grizzlies made one field goal. They were 1 for 14, scored 6 points. They were scored 18-6 in the minutes Ja was off the court during his first stint subbing out of the game. The problem, of course, is then Ja comes back in and doesn't get any better. The Grizzlies started scoring in the second quarter once Ja came back in at the end of the second quarter, but by that time, the Thunder had really found their three-point stroke. The Grizzlies were outscored by 21 over the last quarter and a half in that first half. Dillon missed all 5 of his shots during that stretch. Dillon Brooks, he had a big scoring game. I think a lot of people would say, hey, this shows that Dillon, he shot too much. It hurts the Grizzlies when he shoots too much. There are times when Dillon Brooks absolutely shoots the Grizzlies out of the game, and I will lead the charge and say so. I don't feel like this was one of those instances. This felt more like team-wide blame to me. There was so much passivity. Is that the word? Passiveness? The team was very passive on offense. Guys were not attacking the basket. The Grizzlies got, way under their normal number of paint points. They were settling for three-pointers. The Thunder were playing zone a lot and welcoming the Grizzlies just bricking three-pointers over and over and over. You can fairly point to Jaren Jackson Jr.'s field goal attempts. In the first half, he attempted 2 field goals. Is that on Dillon or his teammates who need to find him the ball, or is that on Jaren for being passive? I think it's a mix. I don't know enough about NBA offenses, frankly, to say you got to find Jaren. You got to get him some shots. You got to go to him. I do know the Grizzlies' offense is egalitarian, and they want to play with pace to get easy looks, open looks early in the shot clock. If you are thinking we got to get Jaren the ball, that is going to slow your offense down. When the Grizzlies' offense slows down and they play in the half court, it is bad. The Grizzlies are bad in the half court. So if you have to say, we got to get Jaren going, we got to get him, the ball. Yeah, could they be calling more stuff to get Jaren some quick looks, get the ball in his hand? Sure, absolutely. They probably needed to do that. But hey, we have to find Jaren and get him the ball. That goes against how the offense is the best for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have to balance taking early good looks against, hey, we're bricking all these early good looks. We're not attacking in the paint. We need to maybe not settle for the three-pointers. But that's the tough balance for NBA teams, and that's the variance of three-point shooting in the NBA. When your opponent makes a bunch of threes, you miss a bunch of threes, that's the ball game. The Grizzlies took 45 three-pointers. That's so many three-pointers. Only made 12 of them. The Thunder took 45, made 19. Here's your ball game. Another thing about Jaren Jackson Jr.'s involvement, yeah, he took 2 field goals in the first half. He also played 13 minutes in the first half. He played 27 minutes for the game, 28 minutes for the game. I think it's pretty apparent Jaren Jackson Jr. is on some form of minutes limitation. He had 1 foul for the game. You lose this game, a game in which your top guy, Ja Morant, gets ejected at the end of the first half, and your next best guy, Jaren Jackson Jr., is only available to play 28 minutes. I'm not even saying they should have played him more. I'm just pointing out there's got to be a minutes limitation. Jaren finished with 16 points, got 8 rebounds. He got to the foul line a total of 10 times, which is good. He was getting rebounds. He was accentuating contact, getting to the free throw line, generating that offense when the Grizzlies, offense wasn't clicking very well. But Jaren has to be more aggressive, probably with the basketball, and get himself some more shots, or maybe talk to his teammates. Demand the ball more. But also, I am aware that you're not going to hey, clear out, give it to Jaren. That's not good offense. Hey, we got to find Jaren on a mismatch in the post. That can be good offense once everything breaks down, but that isn't the way the Grizzlies play, and it's to the benefit that isn't the way the Grizzlies play. They play quickly. They spread the ball around. They take the best first look they get. I mean, Dillon struggled in that first half. In the second half, he bore down, had a strong game. He scored 23 points in the second half, Dillon Brooks did. That's the second most points he's ever had in a half. Got to go back to his rookie season, that fabled game against Chicago, if you remember it. He had 25 and a half. He finished with 32 points. Dillon tied his regular season career high with 6 made three-pointers. He attempted 15 three-pointers. That's the most three-pointers he's ever attempted in a game. I mean, there's no Ja, there's no Bane in the second half. Dillon doesn't have the luxury of deferring shots. Because if you watch this game, people weren't shooting. Zaire Williams gave you nothing. 0. Gave you nothing. He was out there, man, getting cardio in. I mean, he had 1 bucket, but totally ineffectual. Roddy put up some stats, got some rebounds. Roddy also really let you down when you needed a boost from the second unit. When Tyus had played a ton of minutes and you're scratching away at this lead and you keep getting it to like 13 or 15 and then the Thunder make a 3. You get it down to 11. The Thunder make a 3. There were so many of these instances in the game where Roddy and Zaire, and sometimes both, were in the game, and it's like, we got to have some points here. Give us anything. I mean, Zaire wasn't shooting. Roddy was shooting, but his threes were nowhere close to the mark. He finished 1 for 6 on three-pointers. Just some grotesque shooting numbers for Roddy from 3 in his past 10 games. I mean, the bench overall, if you look at the three-point shooting from the bench, Zaire missed his only attempt. Aldama was 0 for 2. The home-road splits grow even more disparate. Aldama only had 7 points, which is right at his average for road games. Roddy was 1 for 6. Tyus was 2 for 9. You put that all together, your bench is 3 for 18 from 3. So one of the things also about Jaren, not playing that many minutes is we limit a lot of the good combinations. Like Jaren plays 28 minutes. What about those Brandon and Jaren minutes? I love the Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr. minutes. Well, Brandon Clark, he only played 19 minutes. The Brandon and Jaren, they played 8 minutes together. Guess what? They were a disaster. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I love them. I love those minutes. I think they should use them even more and more. They were a complete disaster in this game. You know why? Because the team made 1 out of their 14 field goal attempts during Brandon and Jaren's minutes together. The wings could not hit anything. 1 out of 14. Yeah, it was basically that same stretch at the start of the second quarter. But also, part of me thinks if you're playing Jaren only 28 minutes, you're playing Brandon Clark only 19 minutes, and we're missing key players. That's kind of weird. Ja and Jaren, because of Ja's ejection, because of the way they stagger the minutes, they played 6 minutes together in this game. 6 minutes of Ja and Jaren, your 2 best players, playing together. Again, I understand it. You don't anticipate Ja getting thrown out. It's just what ended up happening in this one. By the way, what's super messed up about the Grizzlies going 1 for 14 on their field goal attempts while Brandon and Jaren were on the court together? They got no offensive rebounds either. They didn't rebound any of those 13 missed shots. They were missing 95% of their shots, and they got none of the rebounds on the offensive glass. Tough game, man. I mean, you got Steven Adams going back and playing in Oklahoma City, something that's only happened one other time. And Adams fouls out. He had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And Conchar only played 23 minutes. Again, last episode, I don't know if I said this clearly where you guys understood what I was talking about. I listen back sometimes and I'm worried I don't think that point came across. Oh, well. I talked about how when you beat the Bucks and you'd won 7 straight, that was the pendulum swinging up. As in NBA seasons, it's always back and forth. It's good, and then something bad happens. And you're, as they say, you're never as good as you think you are after a win and never as bad as you think you are after a loss. And so after this huge statement win, we're feeling great. Yeah, we can circle. Most of these have been home games. We've been rested. But still, then when you have a game like this, you fall flat against a bad team. I think it's fair to call the Thunder. Yeah, they're competitive, but they're usually competitive when they have their guys. The Thunder without Giddey and Shea, one of the worst teams in the NBA. And you were down by a bunch. You fell down by 20. Even when you had Ja Morant, it's a bad loss. So it's just one of those games. Yes, we can point out, okay, I still think it's fair to point out like the observations, like, hey, Jaren doesn't play more than 30 minutes unless something weird happens, like overtime. Hey, Brandon Clark still doesn't play over 20 minutes. Hey, Zaire Williams still super deep on the depth chart and looking bad. Not to say we're giving up on Zaire, not to say he's not going to improve greatly, but I don't think he has his confidence at all. That extended run in garbage time against the Bucks, we're like, oh, hopefully that shakes it off for him, so he's ready to step into this bigger offensive role. In the preseason, everyone, myself included, was like, all right, Zaire can be that offensive punch off the bench that the Grizzlies are going to need. No, he didn't. He didn't have it in this one. He hasn't had it so far this year. Let's take a quick break, and then I got a couple other things to wrap up the show. The Edge Pass is the newest way to get access to FedEx Forum on game days, including to premier venues like Big River Steel Edge and Caesars Sportsbook Lounge. Don't miss seeing Ja, Dez, Dylan, and the rest of your Grizzlies take on the biggest names and the brightest stars, and lock in your tickets to make big-time noise today by calling 901-888-HOOP or clicking grizzlies.com. All right, a few more stats to wrap this one up. The 45 three-point attempts for the Grizzlies. That's the second most they've taken this season. The Thunder making 19 three-pointers. That's the most they've made in a game this season. Ja Morant missed his only free throw attempt. Yes, one of the reasons he was frustrated with the officials is he wasn't getting to the line, but he missed his only one off a technical foul, lowering his free throw percentage for the season to 73.4%. That is lower than his career free throw percentage. All the excitement over how well Ja Morant was making his free throws, it's all erased. He's now shooting lower than his career average. Since November 1st, which is 18 games played for Ja, he's making 67% of his free throws, which is awful. It's bad. Ja's overall shooting splits since November 1st, which is 22 team games, 18 games that Ja actually played in. He is 42% from the field, 28% from three, and 67% from the line. That's bad numbers. The Grizzlies are 13-5 in those games that Ja Morant plays. Ja Morant's playing well. I mean, he's a good player, great player, obviously. I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying those shooting splits are poor and not what we hoped for. Not the efficient Ja Morant. Yeah, he's been missing Desmond Bane for most of those games. But Ja Morant needs to play better. Not only does he not need to get ejected from games, he needs to play better. When he's in the game, hopefully, again, it's just a downswing on the shooting numbers. The free throws, basically inexcusable to not be upper 70s at minimum. On the three-pointers, it's gonna be, a roller coaster where maybe he's not gonna be that consistent guy. We hoped it looked like, all right, he's gonna knock down those threes. You go under on the screens, he's gonna drill those three-pointers, but it hasn't been working out so much recently. The Grizzlies now continue this road trip, and it's the big part of the schedule that we circled when the schedule was released. Tuesday night, national television against the Nuggets. Friday night, national TV against the Suns. And then Christmas Day, next Sunday, against the Warriors. So the Grizzlies fall flat here, but now they get a chance to make it right on national TV and return to those winning ways and give us those good old Grizzlies feelings of victory. By the way, for the Tuesday game, it's very possible I do a playback. Just follow me on social media at Fast Break break or at Grizzlies Pod. I'll probably do a playback on the Tuesday night one. I will not be doing the late December 23rd one, nor will I be doing the Christmas Day one. And of course, who knows when these podcasts will come out. There will be one out later this week as far as Christmas week. Not going to drop one on the morning after Christmas. Sorry about that. I hope you can adjust your schedules and expectations accordingly. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great Monday. Hope we can forget that loss and move on to the fun of the next Grizzlies win. And, I almost forgot. Huge news in my notes. It's circled. Desmond Bane tweeted the eyes emoji. What does this mean? No one knows. But Desmond Bane with an eyes emoji tweet. Does that mean he's returning to the court sooner than anticipated? Stay tuned. We will find out soon. Anyways, hope you have a great Monday. Appreciate you guys listening to this show. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Talk to you soon. Go Grizz.